Today, the Seattle Storm went even colder than they were before. Brian Wu came back a little bit rusty, and the Sounders were able to make a comeback to get a draw. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show where we love Seattle Pro Sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are talking about a few things. We're going to talk about the Storm, the Mariners, and the Sounders all in a single episode here, but we'll still keep it short and sweet. I just did not have enough time to make a separate episode for each game and each team, so we're just going to roll it all into one. All these games took place on June 19th. That's the day I'm recording it. By the time I get done recording this and upload it, it's going to be past it. But I still want to say happy Juneteenth. A day that should be celebrated in America that we are just now officially recognizing as an official holiday the last couple of years. But yeah, I think it should be celebrated that this is the official, that it was the official date that we were finally able to get slavery, removed. And, that it, even though it was proclamated, it still took a few years to get it everything enacted. So the official date where that happened and was celebrated, I think, yeah, that's a great day to celebrate. Now, to our sports. It was not a good day to celebrate being a Seattle sports fan. I'll tell you that. First, we'll talk about the Seattle Storm. Again, they went even colder than they were against the Mercury. And again, we did not have answers for a combination, right, of a big and a guard. So Asia Wilson, 27 points, Jackie Young, 32 points. We could not stop that combination. So we've seen that 2 games in a row now. And just for us, again, it's not like a game or two. This has been the trend for the season. We are shooting horribly. Some games it's historically bad, like this one. Jewel Lloyd, her record of the longest active streak in the WNBA, 8th longest streak all time of scoring 10 or more points in a game, has come to an end. In this game, she scored 1 point. 0 for 9 from the field and 0 for 3 from 3 points. She had 1 free throw and made that 1 free throw. And otherwise, that was it. She didn't score. You don't see this often from her. In fact, the last time we saw this from her, we lost today 83-94 to Las Vegas Aces. And the last time we seen Jewel Lloyd held to anything less than 10 points was in a 1-point game against the Las Vegas Aces, another game in which she went over from the field. So kind of a crazy coincidence there, and a bummer way to break the streak. And this in general, I mean, Agumake had 21 points, Magbagord 19, Horson came in off the bench, had 18. But I mean, in general, as a team, 4 for 16 from 3. That's 25%. We were 31 for 70 shooting overall, 44.3%. Not gonna get it done. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what to say. Like I said, when you're not scoring points, it's hard to win. It doesn't matter, how good anything else goes for you. If you can't hit a shot, then you're not going to win, and that's just been the case for us the last couple of games. And in general, yeah, the shooting percentage is concerning as the longer we go throughout the season, and we see more performances. We're seeing performances like that with really low shooting percentage, pretty consistently, even in some wins. So not good. Again, we lost this one 83-94 to the Las Vegas Aces. Again, who we're 2 games in a row where we are getting teams are getting a fresh superstar back. So you could take that for what it is. I don't think it should really matter when you think about the team we have. I mean, our superstars should be able to match up with superstars from other teams. And generally, defensively, they have been, but just they're not hitting any shots. Okay, let's move on to the Seattle Mariners. And Brian Wu was on the mound today, right from the get-go in that first inning. It just didn't look right. Again, no like concerns about injury or anything, but you could tell that he has dealt with some things this year while he was out there on the mound, and that he was coming back from those, and that he just looked rusty, and he got hit around today. 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Only went 4 innings pitched. Even after today, though, his ERA is still 1.67, so that just tells you how good overall he's been on the season. But yeah, coming off some injuries and some rest, looked rusty, getting back out there. I mean, this game, if I didn't mention the score, we lost 0-8 to the Guardians. So that there wasn't really any offense to be spoken about either. 3 hits total, so 2 walks and 14 strikeouts. Typically what we see in a Mariners loss, which always feels extra bad that when they lose in that fashion. You feel like, oh, okay, well, that's just the way it's going today. We're not going to have a chance because we're not going to hit anything. We were 10 games up in the standings after this loss, and we are now 9 games up in our division in the standings, in first place still. So, still in a great spot. But again, as we continue to watch this team, it's just more and more obvious that they need to make moves, that they need to go out and get multiple bats, in my opinion. And I know you'll see a lot of fans online talking about like, oh, well, if we're 9 games in first place and some of these players are hitting right now, why would you change anything? Well, if you can get better at a position, get better. Imagine we're winning right now barely. Most of the games are winning by 1 run. Imagine if we get better at a certain position and maybe now we start actually scoring a couple more runs a game. then your record continues even more, continues to improve even more. Now, I don't know if they'll get anything done, but I truly hope they do, because I think this team has a chance. I heard Jeff Passan on Brock and Salk, and he was saying, yeah, this team, if you left it as is, could win a World Series. But why would you do that? If you can go out and get improvements at various positions, then you should, to give yourself a better chance to actually win in the playoffs and get to the World Series. So that's my hope. I really hope that they make something happen and make some moves, because performances like this offensively, is not going to cut it, and it's happening way too often. Not that today they obviously would have had to do something extraordinary, but even if the Guardians had scored only one run today, you would have been watching this team at bat and you would have felt like, okay, we don't have a chance, and it shouldn't feel like that often as it has this season. Okay, well, that's the Mariners loss. Let's go ahead and talk about the Sounders. I'll remember to mention the score before we start. This was a 2-2 draw with the Houston Dynamo. And hey, they actually showed this one on MLS Season Pass for free, so you got to watch this one. If you're not a subscriber to that, you didn't have to just listen to it on the radio. So for this one, hey, we were losing, and my goodness, Paul Rothrock. Man, they talked about it. This guy's got energy, and seems like he's motivating. Other people around him are motivated by the energy he's playing with. And 2 games, 2 goals. You got to feel great about that. Jackson Reagan got the second goal to get this all tied up, and we are able to keep that energy up the rest of the way and work a draw, which is great because, again, we're going to look at the MLS standings now, and we're just a little bit over halfway in the season. We're sitting with 22 points total. Okay, we scored a point tonight. Right now, we sit in 10th place, so we are just outside the playoffs. Now we got a lot of important games ahead of us. Like, every game is going to be important going forward. We cannot afford to take very many losses at this point. They are going to need some wins. At worst, they're going to need draws because they need to at least be gaining points in the standings every match. There's 3 teams ahead of us, all with 24 points. So a win and a loss from one of them would put us ahead of them, but still a long ways to go. So you need to get more consistent. So what they did in the second half today, they need to bring that to a whole game and do that consistently throughout the rest of the season, because they're going to miss out on the playoffs if they can't play like they did in the second half of the game today. And it's we haven't seen it often this season from them, so I'm going to be watching with a skeptical eye that they're going to be able to do it. I'm hopeful. I think they can pull it off, but they dug themselves in such a hole that it's going to be very stressful to watch this team try to get there the final stretch, the second half of this season. But at least they got that draw today and got a point in the standings, and considering how this game started out, I guess you feel pretty good coming out of this one, getting a draw, and actually being fired up and motivated and getting the job done in the second half. All right, but there you go. That was our short little stint around Seattle. Kind of a tough day overall, but all 3 of these teams, plenty of time left to go in the season. So I'm sure we'll come on here and we'll have a lot more happy days to talk about, especially when you consider the talent on, especially the Storm, and actually all 3 of these teams, the Storm, the Mariners, and the Sounders. Talent's there. Execution is not always there. So hopefully our teams are going to get a little bit more consistent in the second half of their seasons. All right, but that's the episode. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave some comments. Let me know how about any of your favorite teams in Seattle and what they did, and do you have any hope for the Sounders getting into the playoffs by the end of the season. What about the Storm? Couple of big losses in a row. What does that mean to you? Does that mean we can't, compete with the other big teams in the league right now? Or, is it just because the shooting was so bad, so cold that, you're looking at, the stats of these players, you don't expect that is going to happen often, and we will get back on track with shooting. And yeah, the Mariners, I don't know. Hopefully, they just can start hitting. But yeah, so leave those comments, and then podcast listeners do the same thing. Hit follow, hit subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and a written review because it helps the show grow. And thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch Legends Awaken. So take cover, because with a sea of sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.